I'm going to show you how to cheese the Draconic Sentinel in Elden Ring. There's actually this hilarious way that you can do it using an exploit right now. When I made this video, 1.03.2. Hopefully it'll still be around 1.04. We'll see if it gets patched or not. So there's an exploit called the flying exploit. If you don't know what that's about, you can check out the description of this video below the first paragraph for my video on that. But I'll also explain it in this video in a little bit less detail. So what we're going to do is we're going to need to be able to use the flying exploit in order to cheese this boss. Another thing you're going to need is you're going to need any kind of bow, any kind of crossbow, and you're going to need serpent arrows, normal arrows, bolts. Ideally, you're going to want to go pick up the things so you can craft blood bone arrows, collect some blood rose, thin beast bones. So just to show you, the poison arrows can be bought over here, Isolated Merchant Shack. You can find the recipe for blood bone arrows at Fort Height West. You can farm blood rose at Fort Height West inside the fort. Also, if you want to get rod arrows, you could always go to the merchant. There's a merchant on the road right here in Caelid, and he'll sell you a recipe for rod arrows, but those are much harder to get. Aeonian butterflies are of limited supply, so be careful using those. And then once you have all that, you'll be able to... You can also farm thin beast bones by Agheel Lake South. I forget where right by it, or somewhere else. There's lots of places to farm those. Farm the mats. Get enough mats to make ideally like 100 or maybe 200. And in my case, I'm going to make 100 of one and then 100 of the bolts. So that way I can, have as many as I possibly need for this. So once you have all the arrows and stuff that you need, also if you want a bow, because you can buy one at the Table of Lost Grace, or you can also buy one at this merchant here. For a crossbow, you can go down to Weeping Peninsula and get one from this guy. Does some where you just get a basic crossbow if you don't already know. So what we're going to do is we're going to head out over this way. What we're going to do is look for a certain type of ledge that we can use in order to trigger the flying exploit. So if we go along here, there was one in particular, if I remember this correctly, right here. So we're going to use this ledge right here. Now, what we got to do the flying exploit is you have to be able to go system over to this, quit game, and quit game. You have to be able to do that really fast. So for whatever controls you're using, apparently even PC, you can do it with up arrow and A and E or something like that, and ESC, whatever. So figure out your controls. It takes practice. I'll make it look easy just because I've done it for like 3 days now. But you're going to sprint, jump, get off the horse, and then go to the menus like that and get it. Although I did botch that on accident. I hit input too soon. So do it like that. And you want to quit to the main menu before your character hits the ground, which is like, I don't know, 1 second or 1.5 seconds, something like that. And then you're going to come back into the game. And this will break the game in a really, really weird way. So if you haven't seen the flying exploit yet, you're going to be a little confused here. So when we get back in, you'll notice that I am decoupled from my horse, if I did it correctly. And there's the horse. There's Torrent. Okay, so now that we are decoupled from Torrent, what we're going to do is we're going to head over to that ledge where I scouted a good spot for this. Now what you want is one that goes to a diamond shape like this, ideally pointing up so you don't slide off as hard. And you're going to go until you're kind of floating like this off the edge. Then you're going to quit the game again, and one of two things will happen here. Either you'll spawn back in and you'll have been too far and then you'll just fall and die, or you'll come back in and you'll be on the ledge. And what happens when you come back in is, since Torrent's decoupled, every time you come back in, Torrent will spawn in right beside you. And if you get this right, Torrent will spawn in right beside you and fall off the ledge. Or push you and push you off the ledge. Or if you get it wrong, you don't go far enough, Torrent will just spawn beside you and be standing there. So we'll see which one I got. Alright, so there went Torrent. I don't know if you heard the noise. Torrent died. So now what happens is when you go to summon your horse, it'll do something really weird. Also, if you can't summon your horse right now, I should tell you right now, of two things before we do this. If you can't summon the horse right now, your save file is screwed up for some reason. I don't know what caused it. One of my save files, it just would not let me do the flying exploit for whatever reason. Whenever this happened, I'd go to summon the horse, and it would just act like I was underground or something, like I couldn't summon it. I went to a different save file, totally fine. Just that one save file. I don't know what I did in that save file, but it just made the flying exploit impossible. It was the weirdest thing. So if you get to this point and you go to summon and your person does that animation, like they don't have the ability to do it after doing what I just did, then it's just your save file, and unfortunately you're just screwed. I don't really know. Another thing is, if you know how to do backup saves of any kind, you definitely want to do backup saves, because I did have one time. It only happened one time, but I have had one time where I was trying to do the flying exploit, and then it just refused to load my game ever again. Thankfully I had a backup save, but what would happen is I would load in, and it would just stay on the loading screen literally forever and never come into the game. So if you can do backup saves, do a backup save, but that's rare. That only happened to me like I've done this like 60 times now. It happened one time, so And it's only that save file. It's not your whole game. So anyway, in order to fly at this point, we got to find a ledge where we can fall down. I don't think we even need to do this, honestly, but I just do this anyway, because actually, I think I tested it and it actually didn't matter, but just to be safe, find a ledge where you're up and then you go down. Now what you're going to do is you're going to summon the horse, and it's going to use a flask to re-summon the steed, because the steed died. You do this, and then the horse does that. Now what you do is you run towards this ledge and summon as you're going downhill like that, and now you're flying. Now that we're flying, we're still not high enough, because the Draconic Sentinel should be able to actually swipe us right now. We're a little bit too low. So what we'll do is you can go up, but you can't go down with this exploit. So we're going to try to hit the highest point here, and whatever you do, do not jump. If you jump, you will just die, basically, unless your feet touch the ground at the end of the jump. If your feet don't touch the ground at the end of the jump, then you will just die. So, again, do not jump unless you have something that you can actually make contact with. Now, at this point, you actually could just skip this guy, just so you know. As far as I'm aware, you can just go around the side and just completely skip this guy. But let's go ahead and cheese him instead. So I'm going to put on the bow. I'm also going to put on the crossbow. I'm going to put on poison arrows and bloodbone arrows, and then normal bolts and bloodbone bolts. So here's something really funny. You might be worried when you do this, because he has a lightning attack. But what's really funny about the lightning attack, I'll show you actually, is this lightning attack, its hitbox is on the ground. So even though the lightning touches you, it doesn't do anything. Now also, you'll want to get close to cheese him because of travel time for your arrows and stuff. That the best thing you can do is shoot straight down like this. Turns out you can actually shoot straight down. You just can't shoot behind you, so he has to be a little bit in front of you, but basically right below you, and you'll just hit him. If he goes a little bit behind you, though, you won't be able to hit him. So you can just walk with him and get in a loop like this, and then just like keep on finding yourself in random loops like that, run around until you get a shot like this, and then just kind of walk with him when he does this, and you should be able to get a bunch of free shots. And it is a totally busted exploit, guys. I don't know when the flying exploit will be patched, if it ever gets patched, but it is totally busted right now, and it makes it really fun and easy to cheese the Draconic Sentinel. Now, obviously, some people have more fun fighting. If so, then I don't know why you're watching this video. This video is for people who are cheese enthusiasts and exploit enthusiasts and want to see how to cheese or exploit this boss. So far, this is probably my favorite exploit cheese in the entire game. This one's really, really fun. Really fun way to do it, especially for people who have already beaten the game and are just kind of bored of the game. This is a really fun thing to do, just to mix it up and have some fun. Well, that really didn't take that long at all. I think that took like 3 minutes or something, and that's only because I'm level 1 basically shooting arrows effectively. I'm not level 1, but I don't know. I mean, I have level 1 bow, I have level 1 crossbow. I mean, without blood arrows it'd be rough, but at the same time, if you actually had a leveled up bow, you could just use normal arrows and just annihilate them. So blood arrows are to make up for the fact that I have a bow +0. But he should be done soon. I just ran out of bloodbone arrows, so now I gotta use bloodbone bolts, but the next bleed tick should happen anytime now, I think. I mean, if not, I'm going to just killing him with normal arrow damage soon. But the last bleed tick should be coming any shot now. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. If you didn't know, enemies build increased resistance to status ailments the more times you do it to them. And so it gets harder and harder to get bleed. It's supposed to only go to 2x though, so there we go. There we go. So that's the Draconic Sentinel fight. If you want to win that fight easily, then you could just do it that way. Once you've done that, now you need to find a way to get off your horse without dying. So there's a bunch of different ways we could do it. I'm going to see if I'm low enough to do it over here. Probably not. But if not, I'll show you what happens when you die. So jump and jump again. And there we go. I hit the ground off the second jump. So now I'm okay. I'm still flying though. But once you're on the ground, you can actually just get off normally. And when you summon it back, you'll still be flying actually. So I can still just be flying. Like that. But I can also get off the horse whenever I want. So you could use that however you want to use that. But that's the Draconic Sentinel. That is how to cheese him right now in 1.03.2. I did this on March 26th. If patch 1.04 patches this out, that'll be too bad. Hopefully not, though, because there's a few other things I want to do with this exploit that'll make hilarious videos like this. But yeah, if you know how to do the flying exploit or want to learn how to do it, then that's how you can cheese the Draconic Sentinel in Elden Ring.